Uh, as I'm using this platform for the first time, I may have trouble handling. Kindly bear with me. I will put all of you on mute. If you have any doubts, I can clarify those at the end. Please keep your video off. To get the maximum out of this class, I suggest you to get a notebook and pen. I will give you a moment. Please get a pen and paper. Okay. Actually, when you write, you will understand the concepts better. That too, mathematics in a virtual classroom learning is a bit difficult. I can understand. But let us see whether we can make the best out of what is given to us. Z transform may be seen as a discrete analog of Laplace transform. You have learned the Laplace transform in second semester, Fourier transforms in third semester. You must have used these tools in your own subjects, but these are applicable for continuous functions. For discrete functions, we use Z transforms. What is a Z transform? Let un be a sequence. What do you mean by a sequence? A sequence is a function from what is a sequence? Sequence is a function from the set of natural numbers into the set of real numbers. Okay, now because we cannot expect always functions to be continuous. If a function is continuous, we can use the Laplace transform or the Fourier transform. But if the function is discrete, we cannot use that. So it is we are defining what is known as Z transform for this. Now, how do I denote the Z transform of a sequence un? It is denoted by Z transform of un. And how do we define it? Un is actually known as the nth term of the sequence. Multiply the nth term of the sequence by z power minus n. Sum it over from 0 to infinity. You know that in Laplace and Fourier transform, we used to integrate. So in case of finite, discrete, it is summation. In case of continuous, it is integration. So how do I find the Z transform of a sequence un? I simply multiply the nth term with z to the power minus n, where z is real or complex, and take the sum from 0 to infinity. So this is defined whenever this series, infinite series, is convergent. And can you see that this is a function of z because we are summing it with respect to n. So this expression will be a function of z, and that function of z is called as the transform, and we denote it either by u bar of z or u of z. So kindly note down the definition of the Z transform. The transform of un is summation un z power minus n, where n varies from 0 to infinity. Are you done with? Okay. So u bar of z is the transform of the sequence un, and I also call that the sequence un is inverse the transform of u bar of z. This again is a concept similar to inverse Laplace transform and inverse Fourier transform. Okay, let us see some examples. Use your pen and paper, please. Let us say I want to find z transform of 1. So how do I get it? It is summation 1 into z to the power minus n, which is same as summation of 1 by z to the power n. So you please write along so that you will understand it better. Now can you see that this is a geometric series with the common ratio r is equal to 1 by z, and what is the sum of infinite terms of a geometric series a by 1 minus r. And if I use that, it will be a is 1 here, 1 by 1 minus r, and make z common denominator. It goes to the numerator. What you get is z by z minus 1. So z transform of 1 is z by z minus 1. So you are expected to remember the transforms of these standard functions. I hope you are done with z transform of 1. Suppose say I want to find the z transform of k to the power n. So what is it by again definition? Summation k power n to be multiplied by z to the power minus n. And that is same as what? K by z to the power n, where n varies from 0 to infinity. So what you get is k by z power n. So this again is a geometric series with k by z as the common ratio. So what I get is 1 by 1 minus k by z, which is z by z minus k. Now let us look at z properties of z transforms before we actually get on to more examples. These properties will help us in evaluating z transforms easily. The first one is the linearity property. What does it say? If you have two sequences whose nth terms are un and vn, now if I multiply the nth term of the first sequence by a constant a, second sequence by a constant b, then to find the z transform of this newly formed sequence, I can make use of the available z transforms of the first sequence and second sequence. I can just find the z transform of the first sequence, z transform of the second sequence, and multiply it by a and b. How do I prove it? By definition, again, the transform of the sequence is the nth term to be multiplied with z to the power minus n, and that is equal to a into summation of this. What we are doing is I am multiplying term by term, this by this into this into this, then take out the constant a, take out the constant b, so that is what you get. I hope you are done with. Okay. What is another important property of Z transforms is the damping property or the change of scale. This again similar property you have learned in Laplace transforms as well as Fourier transforms. What does this property say? If Z transform of a sequence U is U bar of Z, then to find the Z transform of the sequence where the nth term is multiplied by k power n, you don't have to again evaluate the infinite series. What is that you have to do is simply wherever there is Z, replace it by Z by k. So again, proof of this is very simple. What you can do is, by definition, the transform is k to the power n un into z to the power minus n, which I can write un as it is z by k to the power minus n. Now, can you see that in the definition of z transform, in the place of z power minus n, I have z by k to the power minus n. Therefore, the nth term is multiplied by z by k to the power minus n. Hence, I just need to replace z by k. So I can replace k by 1 by k, and I can get the z transform of k power minus n un as u bar of k into z. So this change of scale property is very, very important in solving examples. I will repeat. If at all you multiply mth term of the sequence by k to the power n, then to get the transform, you simply replace z by k. Okay. In between, I will give a pause so that you can note down the properties. So while solving problems, it becomes easy for you. So please note down, the transform of un is u bar z, means the transform of k power n times un is u bar of z by k. Multiplication by n. Suppose, say, you multiply nth term by the number n, then to find the transform, again you don't have to evaluate an infinite series. Instead, what you can do is, you can evaluate the original z transform of un, whatever you have, simply differentiate that and multiply by minus z. So how do I do this? So I expect you to write it as the proof goes so that you will understand it better. What is the transform of n into un? N to be multiplied by z to the power minus n. That is equal to, what I will do is, I will multiply by z and I will divide by a z. Multiply by z, divide by z. So this is what I get. I have introduced a minus n here, minus n here. Obviously, the reason is I have to get it as d by dz of. Therefore, I am taking minus n minus 1. Are you done with? So this gives you what? Minus z and summation as it is. This is d by dz of z to the power minus n. Now, un is nothing to do with z. So I can as well take it inside. So I'm taking un inside. Okay. Now, the summation is with respect to n. So I can take this d by dz outside. So what I get is minus z d by dz of summation of this. And this is by definition z transform of the sequence un. So how do I get the z transform? If I multiply the nth term by n, it's very simple. Find the z transform of the sequence, differentiate that with respect to z, and multiply it with minus z. I hope you are done with this. Let's go for certain examples. Before that, I can say that can you see that in the place of un, if I use n power k, I can take up this as the transform of n power k is minus z d by dz of the transform of so let us make use of this result for finding the transform of n. So how do I find the transform of n? It is minus z into derivative of z transform of n power 0. I'm hearing some disturbance. I don't know whether you are able to hear me properly or not. Anyway, let us continue with this. Z transform of 1 is z by z minus 1. So now I want to find z transform of n, which is minus z into z transform of n to the power 0. N to the power 0 is what? Z transform of 1. So I have to find minus z d by dz of z by z minus 1. Again, you can take a moment and differentiate it and see. What's the derivative of z by z minus 1? Just check it out. Did you get the answer? Okay, so how much you got? Is this the answer that you have got? You can differentiate this z by z minus 1. It comes out to be minus 1 by z minus 1 whole square. So what you get is z transform of n is equal to z by z minus 1 whole square. So I've used the property that z transform of n power k is minus z into z transform of derivative of z transform of n power k minus 1. Now I have z transform of n. I can make use of it to find z transform of n squared. So you try it out. Find z transform of n square. What is it? Minus z d by dz of z transform of the sequence n, which is same as just now we have obtained z transform of n, z by z minus 1 whole square. So differentiate this by using the quotient rule. Differentiate this by using the quotient rule. So when I simplify, what I get is z squared plus z divided by z minus 1 whole cube. You have to apply the quotient rule to differentiate and then multiply by minus z. What you get is z squared plus z by z minus 1 whole cube. If you have understood the concept, these calculations, I suppose, if you do it, you should be able to get. Similarly, you can verify that the transform of n cube is z cube plus 4z squared plus z divided by z minus 1 to the power 4. Okay. You can just make a note of that. I request others just to listen to me. Don't use your video or music so that it will disturb. In case if you want, I know you are also new to the software. So please mute the video and mute the audio. Okay. Let us move on to finding the transform of k power n into n. Can you see that? I have to make use of scaling property. If I multiply the nth term by k power n, I think there is some noise in the call, maybe internet connectivity issue, or you may be having, some of you may be using the software. Please make sure that you just listen, you don't use the presentation for anything. Okay, if there are any clarifications, I'll do it at the end, or you can WhatsApp me so that I can clarify. Okay, fine. Now we will, I have already found the Z transform of n. Now we can use the scaling property to find Z transform of n into k to the power n. So what is it? If you multiply nth term by k power n, we need to replace z by k. So I am replacing z by k to the power minus 1 whole square, k z by z minus k. Correct? I hope you know that z transform of 1 is z by z minus 1 whole square. Replace z by k. So you will get kz by z minus k whole square. Similarly, we have obtained z transform of n squared. So multiply n squared with k power n. You get z by k whole square plus z by k minus 1 whole cube. Make k square common denominator here, k cube common denominator here, and then simplify, you get this result. So this is, we have used the scaling property to obtain the transform. Similarly, you can make use of the transform of n cube, multiply it by k power n, means wherever there is z, replace it by z by k. Now let us see how to find the transforms of cos n theta and sin n theta. So how am I going to do it? E to the power I n theta is cos n theta plus I sin n theta. So e power I n theta is e power I theta to the power n, which is equal to k to the power n. So I can take e power I theta as k power n, where k is e power I theta. Now you must be having it in your notes. What is Z transform of k power n? Z by z minus k. Now in this case, k is e to the power I theta. Z by z minus k. In this case, the k is e to the power I theta. So e power I n theta is cos n theta plus I sin n theta. What is the idea is to separate the real and imaginary parts here, and then equate the real and imaginary parts. So for that, I will multiply and divide by the conjugate. There is a small mistake. This should have been plus. So please make it plus. Z into z plus e power minus I theta, z plus e power minus I theta. Now try to separate the real and imaginary parts.
We are anonymous. We are legion. United as one. Divided by zero.
So it is, so replace e power minus I theta by z minus e power I theta, z minus e power minus I theta. So I can multiply term by term, z squared, z into e power I theta, z into e power minus I theta, and e power I theta, e power plus I theta is so if you separate the real and imaginary parts, z minus cos theta plus I sin n theta, z squared by 2z cos theta plus 1. So what I get is, if I equate the real parts, I get the transform of cos n theta. If I equate the imaginary parts, I get z transform of sin theta.
We are anonymous.
Are you done with the transform? Did you separate the real and imaginary parts? So what I have is the transform of cos n theta is z into z minus cos theta by z squared minus 2z cos theta plus 1. The transform of sin n theta is z sin theta by z squared minus 2z cos theta plus 1. So now if I use the scaling property, if I multiply cos n theta by k to the power n, I can simply replace z by k. Here also z by k, here also z by k. When I simplify, what I get is a k here, and there is a k squared here and a k here. So that is what I get here. Similarly, in this, if I have to multiply sin n theta by k power n, replace k by z, what I get is this. Hope I'm giving you sufficient time to write down on your own so that you find it a lot more easier. Because if you just listen to me, you may be able to feel that you are understanding, or later you may not be able to do it. When you do it now, you would be in a better position. Okay, let us try to find the transform of n plus 1 whole squared. So I will be using the linearity property here. N plus 1 whole squared is what? N squared plus 2n plus 1. So I can split it, z transform of n squared, z transform of 2n, z transform of 1. Now what is z transform of n squared? It's z squared plus z by z minus 1 whole cube. What is z transform of 2n? 2z by z minus 1 whole squared, and z transform of 1 is z by z minus 1. So make z minus 1 whole cube common denominator, and it simplifies to z cube plus z squared. So if you get a combination of functions, you can always write it as a sum. And for individually, you find the transforms and then simplify. I suppose you can note down this simplification part, you can do later. And anyway, we have sent you the notes. You can go through the notes, see if there is any difficulties. There is every chance that there may be some typing errors. So when you solve, you will be able to find out. You can tell us those so that we can correct it. Okay. Now let us try to find the transform of cos of n pi by 2 plus pi by 4. So just now we have found the transform of cos n theta. So I will make use of that formula to find the transform of cos of n pi by 2 plus pi by 4. First, what we shall do, we will use the formula to expand this. What is cos of x plus y? It is cos x cos y minus sin x sin y. To put all the mathematical formulae in the presentation is very difficult to type. So I have not typed. You can just write down what is cos of x plus y, cos x cos y minus sin x sin y. And you know that cos pi by 4 and sin pi by 4 both are 1 by root 2. So you can take out 1 by root 2. And then get it as cos of n pi by 2 minus sin n pi by 2. Now, the transform of un would be 1 by root 2 is a constant. I can take it outside. It is z transform of cos n pi by 2, z transform of sin n pi by 2. You must have already written down the answers for cos n theta, sin n theta. Use that here, where theta should be replaced by what? Pi by 2. So what you get is the transform of cos n pi by 2 is z squared by z squared plus 1. Sin n pi by 2 is z by z squared plus 1. Say, you have cos n theta is z into z minus cos theta by z squared minus 2z cos theta plus 1. So if theta is 90 degree, cos 90 is 0. So this term will be 0, this term will be 0. What remains is z squared by z squared plus 1. Similarly, this is 1, this is 1. So z squared minus, sin pi by 2 is 1, cos pi by 2 is 0. So it will be z by z squared plus 1. So that is how we obtain the transform of functions which involve sine or cos by using the trigonometric formula. Now suppose say I want to find out the transform of sequence un where my nth term is 1 by n plus 1. So how do I do that? By definition, the z transform is multiply the nth term by the power minus n. So that is 1 plus 1 by 2z plus 1 by 3z squared plus 1 by 4z cubed and so on. So take out z common. So what you have is 1 plus z by 1 plus z plus 1 by 2z squared, 1 by 3z cubed plus 1 by 4z power 4 and so on. And this series must be a familiar series to you. It is in terms of log. So how do I get it? We know that log of 1 plus x, if you apply the Maclaurin series expansion, log of 1 plus x is what? X minus x squared by 2 plus x cubed by 3 and so on. So let me replace x by minus x. Then all terms I will get it as minus. So what I will do is I will multiply by a minus. All these terms will be plus. So z transform of 1 by n plus 1 is 1 by z, 1 by 2z squared, 1 by 3z cube, etc. Correct? Can you see that? It is 1 by z, 1 by 2z squared, 1 by 2z cube. That means 1 by z, 1 by z whole squared by 2, 1 by z whole cube by 3. So it should be minus log 1 minus 1 by z. And we have taken out a z. So this is what I get. Please write it and solve it on your own.
Right, bro.
So I can make z as common denominator. It will be z minus 1 by z. And if I reverse it, the minus sign will get cancelled. So what I get is z transform of 1 by n plus 1 is z into log of z by z minus 1. Okay, let us go for the next one. Suppose that I want to find z transform of 1 by n plus 1 into n plus 2. Obviously, one of the easiest technique is what? Write 1 by n plus 1 into n plus 2 as using partial fractions 1 by n plus 1 minus 1 by n plus 2. Now I can use linearity property. So z transform of un should be z transform of this minus z transform of this. Now I have already shown you how to find z transform of 1 by n plus 1. So let me just do z transform of 1 by n plus 2. So what I have is 1 by 2, z power minus 1 by 3, etc. So what I will do is, I'll take out a z squared and I'll write it as 1 by 2z, 1 by 3z cube. What is the reason? My log expansion is x plus x squared by 2 plus x cube by 3 and so on. So I want x by 2. X squared by 2. That is why I am multiplying by z squared, dividing by z squared. So I get z squared, 1 by 2 z squared, 1 by 3 z cube, etc. Now if I add and subtract 1 by z, what I get is 1 by z minus 1 by z. Somebody is disturbing the class, I guess. Please keep quiet. You can leave the meeting, that's better, I guess. Actually, whoever is disturbing the class, we can make out in our meeting so that we can delete such a member from the meeting, because if at all you are attending the class just to make fun, there is no point. The class is meant for learning.
We are
so that
anonymous.
once you come
We are
back,
legion.
you can...
United as one. Divided by 0.
Yeah. Okay. So 1 by z plus 1 by 2z squared, 1 by 3z cube, etc. So I've added 1 by z, I've subtracted 1 by z. Then this whole term is minus log 1 minus 1 by z minus 1. So it simplifies to this. So once you get this, you can substitute in this. Now let us go for shifting rule. Okay. Let us go for the shifting rule. Shifting rule is, if you have nth z transform of a sequence, then if you replace n by n minus k, the z transform is, you simply have to multiply the z transform by z to the power minus k. Let me not get into the proof of this, given in the notes, you can just refer. We will be most of the time using the left shifting rule. What is the left shifting rule says? If Z transform of Un is known, then Z transform of Un plus k is Z power k into this. Make a note of the last line. So we'll try to prove it. Okay. So Z transform of Un plus k by definition is this. What I will do is I'll multiply by Z power k and I will multiply by Z power minus k. Now this is what you have. So now when n is 0, it will be uk z to the power minus k. N is 1, uk plus 1 z to the power minus of k plus 1 and so on. Okay. So what you get is this is z power k into this. And can you see that the sum starts from u power k z power minus k. So what I will do is I will add these many terms. I will add from u naught to u k minus 1 z to the power minus of k minus 1 and I will subtract those terms. Now can you see that this sum is nothing but the z transform of the sequence un, which is u bar of z. So we have subtracted r to k minus 1 u r z to the power minus r. So this left shifting rule usually will be used in case of solving difference equation. So in particular, what will be z transform of un plus 1? It is z into u bar of z minus u naught. What is z transform of un plus 2? Z squared into z transform minus u naught minus u1 z to the power minus 1. Similarly, this. You may be remembering the similar equations that we had for Laplace transforms while finding Laplace transforms of the derivative, and we have used those results.
You're the last one to complete the mission.
Somebody is playing music. Can you please switch it off? It's a request. So I want to find Z transform of 1 by n factorial, which is summation 1 by n factorial z to the power minus n, which is same as 1 by n factorial 1 by z power n. And you must be familiar with this series. What is series expansion of e power x? 1 plus x by 1 factorial plus x squared by 2 factorial plus and so on, correct? So this is the series e to the power. In the place of x, you have 1 by z. So the expression is e to the power 1 by z. So I have z transform of 1 by n factorial as e to the power 1 by z. Okay, fine. Now let us see how to use the left shifting rule to find z transform of 1 by n plus r factorial. So I have z transform of 1 by n factorial. How much is it? E to the power 1 by z. So z transform of 1 by n plus r factorial is, by our shifting rule, z power r, z transform of 1 by n factorial, which is e to the power 1 by z, minus first r terms I have to subtract. So first r terms I have to subtract. So minus 1 by z, minus and so on. So in particular, I can get z transform of 1 by n plus 1 factorial as z power r e to the power 1 by z minus 1. Similarly, 1 by n plus 2 factorial will be z power r e to the power 1 by z minus 1 by z and so on. So left shifting rule can be used and right shifting rule can also be used to evaluate z transforms where we are shifting the argument either r steps to the right or r steps to the left. So in a similar way, you can try to get the z transform of 1 by n minus r factorial. Here we are shifting r to the. Now there is an initial value theorem which says that the transform of un is u bar z means limit of the transform as z tends to infinity is u naught. So how do I do this? U bar of z is this. Can you see that as z tends to infinity, this term will go to 0, this term will go to 0. In fact, all other terms have z in the denominator. So that goes to 0. What remains is u naught.
Mission failed. Next time.
So final value theorem is, if I know the z transform of u bar with z minus 1 and let z tends to infinity, what I get is limit of un as n tends to infinity. Can you see that this? Can you see that? Can you see that u bar of z is multiplied with z minus 1 and z tends to 1 is limit of nth term as n tends to infinity. This is a means of getting the nth term of a sequence if its z transform is known. So how do I evaluate it? Un plus 1, z transform of un plus 1 is this by the left
Excuse me,
shifting rule.
ma'am. Can you please slow down a bit, because if we try to write anything, there is no time.
Okay. I'll do that. Yes. Actually, would you like to write all the details? Because we have sent the notes. So it's available in the notes. But I mean, I do expect you to write at least a little bit so that you will understand what is going on. Because in a virtual classroom, it is difficult, especially learning mathematics. Okay. So final value theorem is z minus 1 into u bar of z is limit of un as n tends to infinity. Okay. So if I use the left shifting property, the transform of un plus 1 is this expression, right? And z transform of un is this expression. So what I will do, I will take the difference of the two, this minus this.
I basically got a flat tire.
Z minus 1 u bar of z minus so that is summation un plus 1 minus un z to the power minus n. Can you please stop doing this? So by definition, z transform is un plus 1 minus un z to the power minus n. It is equal to this. Okay. So now I am letting z tend to 1 on both sides. What I get is this would be z to the power minus n. This would be z to the power minus n is z 1 power minus n, which is 1. So what I am left with is un plus 1 minus un. This is the limit that we would like to evaluate. Let it be as it is. And this term as it tends to 1 will be u naught. This term as it tends to 1 will be u naught. This is z minus 1 u bar of z. So now I want to evaluate this limit. So let me shift this term here. This minus u naught goes to the other side. It becomes plus. Now, this is the sum that we want to evaluate up to infinity. So I can rewrite this as limit n varying from 0 to m of this sum where m tends to infinity. Now, can you see that when n is 0, it is u1 minus u naught plus u2 minus u1 plus u3 minus u2. So, can you see that all terms get cancelled pairwise except u naught and un plus 1. So what I get is minus u naught remains and um plus 1 remains. All other terms get cancelled. So u naught gets cancels with minus u naught. What remains is limit of um plus 1 as m tends to infinity, which is as good as limit of un as n tends to infinity. Can you see that? That is what we wanted to prove. Limit of this as n tends to infinity is this. I'll explain once again if you want. What I have done is I have taken the Z transform of un plus 1. I have used the left shifting property. Then I have subtracted the transforms of these two. Sequence un plus 1, sequence un. So I can take u bar of z common. What remains is z minus 1 minus z u naught. So then use the definition of z transform for this. Then you let z tends to 1. So this is what you get. Okay. Now this sum, I am writing it as 0 to m tending to infinity, un plus 1 minus un. So if I write term by term, it will be u1 minus u naught plus u2 minus u1 plus u3 minus u2. All term get pairwise cancelled except the first term when n is 0. So minus u naught will remain. And the last term when n is m, which is un plus 1. So when you take the limit, this is what you get. So let us see how to find if the Z transform is given, how do you find the terms of the sequence? Okay, making use of the result that we have studied just now. We have the definition Z transform u bar of Z is what? U naught, u1 by Z, u2 by Z squared, u3 by Z cube, and so on. Now, can you see that to get u naught, I can just take the limit of this as Z tends to infinity because all these terms will become 0. So there is a equal to missing here. So it is limit of u bar of Z as Z tends to infinity, which is equal to limit of this by this as Z tends to infinity. Can you see that? The limit is 0 because I will take out Z power 4. Here also I will take out Z power 4. Z power 4 gets cancels. 1 by Z as Z tends to infinity will be 0. So the denominator is 1. What about the numerator? All the terms are 0. So what you get is u naught is equal to 0. Now let us calculate u1. u1 is what? How do I get? I will shift this u naught to the left. So u bar of z minus u naught. Then I will shift this z also to the left. So it is z into u bar of z minus u naught. Now if I let z tends to infinity, can you see that all other terms will vanish? So I can treat u1 to be limit of this, which is limit of z into u bar of z is given to be this as z tends to infinity. You must be aware that if both the numerator and denominators are polynomials in Z, then as Z tends to infinity, the numerator is of lesser degree, the value of the limit is. Similarly, you can take that. Are you done with? So same way, to find u3, I will shift these terms to the side. Then I will multiply by z cube. Then the next term here will be u4 by z, which tends to 0 as z tends to infinity. So I am multiplying by z cube. Now if you observe, if you simplify this by making common denominator, you do that and check. Can you see that both numerator and denominator will be of same degree. Therefore, the limit will be non-zero. And it comes out to be 11. Okay, just like inverse transforms, Laplace transforms, we can think of inverse Z transforms also. If Z transform of the sequence Un is U of Z, then inverse transform of U of Z is the sequence Un. Suppose say Z transform of A power n is what? Z by Z minus A. Therefore, inverse transform of Z by Z minus A is A to the power n. Similarly, Z transform of A power n minus 1 is 1 by Z minus A. Therefore, Z inverse of 1 by Z minus A is A to the power n minus 1. So, Z transform of 1 is what? Z by Z minus 1. So, Z So, Z transform of n is Z by Z minus 1 whole square. Therefore, inverse transform of Z by Z minus 1 whole square is what? N. So, same way you can make a table of inverse Z transforms and learn those so that you will be able to solve problems while getting inverse transforms and as well as while solving different equations. I'll just do two examples. Say, for example, I want to find Z transform of this function. And you know that Z transform invariably has a Z in the numerator. So what I will do is, I will take one Z here. So U of Z by Z, I will take one Z here. What remains here? 2Z plus 3 by Z plus 2 into Z minus 4. Now you split this into partial fractions. A by Z plus 2 plus B by Z minus 4. And when you split it into partial fractions, A will be 1 by 6, B will be 11 by 6. So what you get is U of Z by Z is equal to this. Therefore, U of Z is, shift this Z here. Z by Z plus 2, Z by Z minus 4. Now, just now we said inverse transform of Z by Z minus A is what? A to the power n. So, what should be the inverse transform? 1 by 6 is a constant. In the place of A, you have minus 2. So, minus 2 to the power n. In the place of A, you have 4. So, 4 power n. I hope it is understood. Please remember to shift one Z to the left. So, you try to get the partial fractions for U of Z by Z, not for U of Z. Once you get partial fractions for U of Z by Z, then apply the standard formula. Here, U of Z is 1 by 6. I am shifting Z again. Z by Z minus A means A power n. In this case, A is minus 2. And in this case, A is 4. Let's go for one more example. Find the inverse Z transform of this. This again is very simple. What you do is bring this Z here, then take the partial fractions, A by Z minus 1, B by Z minus 2. So the partial fractions comes out to be this. Z here will be Z by Z minus 2, Z by Z minus. Now for Z by Z minus 2, what is the transform? Z by Z minus 1, the transform is 1.
This is the world we built for our children? Communities being torn apart?
Again, here you have to shift this Z here and then split this into partial fractions.
bullies are too
And
unbelievable.
while splitting it into partial fractions, what is that you have to do? A by z minus 1 plus b by z minus 1 whole square plus c by z plus 1 plus d by z plus 1 whole square.
That's true.
So what I get is u of z by z is equal to this. This is z by z minus 1, z by z minus 1 whole square. And I hope you remember z by z minus a whole square comes when there is an n. Is it not? So this is the transform of 1. This is the transform of n into 1 power n, which is n. This is in the place of a, you have minus 1, so minus 1 power n. This is minus n minus 1 to the power n. So this is the way we find the Z transforms. Okay. I think for today this is sufficient. I also want to go through the video and see whether it has come out properly or not. So you can send me feedback like what improvisations that we can do so that next class can go much better. I hope today's class has helped you. But what you can do is go through the Z transforms notes so that you will be able to understand it better. And if you have all the Z transforms and inverse Z transforms by heart, by the next class, we can solve different questions. Okay?
Anonymous. We are Legion. United as one. Divided by 0.
Thank you so much. See you next time.